Straight up.
It is 2 o'clock on the dot.
2 o'clock. Ooh, why am I out of frame on the two-shot? Ooh, I don't like that. That's strange. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy Horsepower Hump Day. There goes my mic. Okay.
Ready to kick it off, Rich?
Here, let's go.
Live from the Lucas Oil Studios, it's Horsepower Hump Day.
Whoa.
Because every NASCAR fan needs a push of the old bumper to get them over that hump.
Stop. Oh, my God.
Here's Kenny, Crash, Richie, and Cole. Let's get humping, boys.
All right, everybody. Welcome into Horsepower Hump Day on this beautiful Wednesday, July 9th from the Lucas Oil Studios. My name is Richie Suave Flores. I am joined today to my left here by Cole Money Cusimano. He is, of course, the host of the Money Stop, which won you a lot of money if you checked him out this past week at Chicago Street Course. More money to be made coming up this weekend at Watkins Glen. We'll get a preview of that coming up a little bit later in the show. Cody Big Johnson, the voice of God, is behind the ones and twos as well. So you might hear his voice of God throughout the show. We'll find out. Coming up on this show, a lot of fallout from Chicago Street Course, and NASCAR admits their mistake. We'll get to that. We'll get into some new possibilities for 2026. Oh, hi, empty chair. What the hell happened there?
A little behind the scenes.
Oops. Can we go back to the empty chair, please?
That's actually a good thing you showed that, because my dad asked me earlier today, is Richie in the same room as you guys when you record? It looks like it's like a completely different room. So there it is, right there.
Seat, Richard.
I'm sorry. That's just so freaking funny to me.
About 10 feet away from where Kenny stands.
Empty chair. Okay, you can come back to us now. Okay, there we go. Oh, that was really funny. Thank you, Big Glenn, for hanging out with us today. I saw you were at Indiana Fever practice the other day, and you got a picture with my girl Spicy Soph, if I'm not mistaken.
I know Glenn saw the new Lucas Oil patches on the Pacers jerseys. Let's go Lucas Oil.
That's right. That was sick. I did not know that was happening. Side note, I feel like I'm in the know when it comes to these type of things, and had no idea that Lucas Oil was going to be the new jersey sponsor for the Indiana Pacers starting next season. So that's badass. You can go check that out on the Indiana Pacers social media channels. Yes?
I was going to say, the jerseys are not live yet. I was shopping this morning.
Okay. You know what? A lot of people don't like the sponsors on the jerseys. I think they're perfectly fine. But
They've grown on me for sure.
Yeah.
I when first came into the sport, obviously, I was not a huge fan at all. But it's a part of sports nowadays, and there's certain teams that like adapt to where they don't look as bad. I think baseball's another good point of bringing that up too with the sleeves, because when those first were introduced, I was so pissed off. But they definitely grown on me a bit across all sports.
Get used to it, dude. You just at first it's really annoying, but after a while it just becomes it's just background noise, and you don't even notice it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we don't get car washes, because of capitalism and jerseys, and this is why we don't do that.
Exactly.
I need a car wash bad, by the way. I don't know if you saw my car out there, but it's...
No, you don't.
It's a little dirty.
Do not give in to the man, Cole. Do not give in to the man. No car wash.
It'll rain soon enough.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is monsoon season, so we'll get more of that. Okay, let's dive into what we got going on here. I mentioned that we're going to talk about Chicago. We're going to preview Watkins Glen.
It's Sonoma, by the way.
Oh shit! God damn it. Fuck me. That's right. It's Sonoma. Why do I have Watkins Glen on the brain for some reason?
Well, I love Watkins Glen, so it's coming up soon, guys. I know you're excited, like I am, for Watkins Glen, best road course on the circuit, but
well, yeah. Why did I have Watkins Glen? I was looking up something, and Watkins Glen was in the thing, and I don't know why.
Well, it would make more sense because they're going to Dover. Yeah. Which I'll be at the week after Sonoma this week. So why go all the way to NorCal, then go back to the opposite coast in Delaware?
Exactly, so, Sonoma.
NASCAR logic.
Dear God, this is it's a long season in NASCAR, folks. There's too many NASCAR races in a season to keep track. But yes, Sonoma this weekend, wine country. Bust out your wine bottles this weekend. Okay, so yeah, we'll get into that. We got some breaking Formula One news this morning, so we're getting a little bit into that. and also the big NASCAR news of the day surrounding 2311 and Front Row Motorsports as well. We'll wrap up the show with that. But first, let's dive into the updates surrounding the ending of the Chicago Street Course race. And Cody, if you want to get the crash ready, and then give me a thumbs up when you got it ready. Okay, so if you missed it on Sunday, end of the race in Chicago, coming to the white flag, one of the big... Okay, we found out later that this was the worst head-on collision that NASCAR has ever recorded. Yeah, I'm not joking.
I did not hear that. That's insane.
You didn't? Yeah,
was that Holler Talk?
Holler Talk, yeah, and they brought it up
Wow.
on DBC as well, from what I understand. But yeah, in the next gen era, the hardest head-on collision they've ever recorded, which is insane.
Yeah, I believe it.
And straight into those tires, crazy because they do the madness at all these 180 plus mile hour wrecks you see at Daytona and Talladega and Atlanta. But no, according to NASCAR, according to Holler Talk, that was the biggest crash in the next gen era. Okay, but anyway, in case you missed it, here is Cody Ware's crash at the end of the Chicago Street Course race. Take a look at this.
It's still so hard to watch.
It's incredible. Head on, 90 miles an hour into tires. So that's not safer barriers, right? Which I'd imagine played into the impact and the G-forces that he's. As far as we know, he's okay, right? We haven't seen anything in terms of any injuries related to that, right?
I've not seen anything yet. I guarantee this though. This will be the first week probably in Cody Ware's career where he is bombarded by the media at Sonoma. He's going to be the most popular guy there.
Is it coincidence that he mentioned he's getting his tattoos removed for sponsors?
I didn't see that.
His face tattoo removed?
What?
He said, yeah, because he wants to look better for the sponsors.
Wait,
so
what?
Do you think that has anything to do?
He has a face tat?
Am I getting two different people mixed up
Who
right
are
now?
you talking?
Wait, yeah.
I'm pretty certain it was Cody Ware. If I'm mistaken, my bad. But
I don't think he has a face tat.
I think he has like a little lightning bolt or something on his cheek.
No way.
I might be confusing him with somebody.
Oh, you're thinking of Carson Ware.
Oh wait, I still want to see that though.
Carson Ware.
See the Wares, Kenny did last week with Rick,
I don't know
Rick,
who Carson Ware is in
Cody.
relation to Cody Ware. I think he might be a.
Oh, I see that. Okay.
Yeah, so it's Carson
Okay,
Ware.
then never mind. But anyway, he's getting his tattoos removed.
Okay,
It's a
voice of
Ware.
God, shut it, because you're giving us feeding us wrong information. Okay? You
are
are on
horrible.
probation, sir. No more talking from you aloud for the rest of the show unless I tell you can speak. Understand?
This is not a democracy anymore, I feel.
That's right. It's a dictatorship.
Oh.
Right there?
Oh.
So you're a penis potato?
I know we're on YouTube, Tony, but cool it. Cool it with
Give the people what they want.
We can't do that. We're going to get fired, for goodness sake. Okay, anyway, so you saw the Cody Ware crash. Back on track. Saw the Cody Ware crash. But afterwards, NASCAR has basically done a complete mea culpa for this situation. They were all the last 72 hours, they've been like, oops, we screwed up. Sorry, guys. We should have thrown the caution, et cetera, et cetera. And I want to play this video that NASCAR social media put out ahead of the race. And this is Jaswan Hamilton, who is the race director for this past weekend in Chicago. And Cody, go ahead and give me the thumbs up and go ahead and get ready because we're going to toss to it here. And he walked us through what the race control looks like. And it's a really cool video because it's something we don't really get to see all that often. And it really provides some insight into how they go about calling races. So we're going to check out this video. It's about 1.5 minutes long. And then I'll get you a follow-up to that on what we learned on Holler Talk. And so here's Jaswan Hamilton giving us a tour of the Race Control Studios. Check this out.
Hi everyone, I'm Jaswan Hamilton, NASCAR race director. This is our race control for here at the Chicago Street Course. A little bit different than what we typically have in an oval where we can see the full course. We're calling everything off of cameras. In this race control, it's similar to what we do at other road courses like at COTA, like what we did in Mexico City. Only difference is we're in a TV production truck. So all of us in this room are communicating on the intercom. As the race director, I sit right here. I watch all the cameras. We have cameras positioned in every corner. We have a camera operator that's able to pan, zoom, and tilt cameras to look at incidents that occur around the track. The series director sits right next to me. We have a replay operator that's also able to go back and review anything that occurs, same as we would on an oval. The only difference is we all are operating off the same cameras. Everyone else's roles pretty much remain the same. We just adapt our operations to be able to work in this trailer and be able to all monitor the track via cameras. It works well for us, but it's a great resource to have. Looking forward to a successful weekend here. I believe we're going to have everything we need to put on a great show.
All right, so on Holler Talk, we learned that is because of the way the Chicago Street Course is set up, they essentially set up this temporary race control inside a TV production truck. So that's why they had all the monitors set up there instead of what they normally do at ovals. Is their race control is set up obviously in the main stretch in the tower, and so they can see the whole track. And it's a little bit different for Chicago. So Cole, you take a look at that video there. And does that help you understand why they messed up the Cody Ware situation, or does it just make it more confusing?
Makes it even more confusing for me. I think I counted 18 monitors, if I'm not mistaken, there in that video. I don't know how there wasn't one single camera on that turn 6 or Cody Ware, who was still running inside the top 15, contending for a top 10. So there had to be some cameras there on him or in that area. I thought it was funny at the end how he said, it's going to be a successful weekend. And that ended up being the whole storyline of the damn Chicago Street Course. So another vintage NASCAR blunder, shooting himself in the foot there. But it was a nice foreshadowing to start the weekend off, right?
On the same
right?
weekend,
it's
where that becomes the lead story that we're talking about here on this Wednesday Horsepower Hump Day, that they put that video out.
Mm-hmm.
So we learned a couple things on Holler Talk this week, my favorite podcast. And if you get a chance, I'd recommend checking it out this week. I thought it was maybe the most interesting episode because they did a really great job of going, and they dove deep into it for about a half an hour, and they walked you through so much of the weekend and what they were facing when they were in that similar situation. And then they went into detail about okay, well, how do we fix this going forward, which is kind of the biggest thing for me. It's okay, that's fine. If you're making a mistake, that's okay. We get it. But they basically apologized since then, and they kind of came up with some ideas for how to fix it going forward. But one of the things they were talking about was that turn 6 camera, and if you saw, they did have a camera in that turn 6 area.
They did.
But according to Holler Talk, this problem with that is that the camera was fixated on the racing line. So it's a camera that can move, right? It's a camera that can move, but it wasn't at that point in time, it wasn't fixated on that tire barrier. So they didn't see it happen in real time, and they called it on Holler Talk. They called it a blind spot, which is insane.
Jesus
It happened
Christ,
in a blind spot, despite similar situations happened in the past, right? Kyle Larson last year, similar situation where he goes in the tire barrier, but they catch it right away and they throw the yellow right away because it happened in real time when Kyle Larson was running the top 5, and he was the one on, and he was running in second place. And so the TV cameras were focused on Kyle Larson live when he ran into the tire barriers. And so Holler Talk was very, very apologetic. They were like, we screwed this up. We have cameras there, but not enough, apparently. And Cody, if you want to get ready, Brad Moran's response to this. He is the NASCAR Cup Series managing director. He was on Sirius XM this week, and he explained the entire situation, and he took the mea culpa for, how they screwed up. Go ahead.
We didn't have the actual footage of the impact of the car getting into the tire barrier. That wasn't that's something we're going to take back. We're going to look at if we go back to Chicago, and we'll be looking at certain areas of that racetrack. And definitely improving that situation. I believe it was 32 minutes now. If we follow what we've done, at every road course and street course, we do have local blue flags at road courses. We acknowledge that we have a local blue out. We tell the spotters what's out there. If they're in the racing line, it changes the thought process. If they're out of the racing line, we give them time, which obviously we did throughout the day. I think we still ended up with, 7 cautions for 15 laps. So we do our best to try to give the fans as much time we can to get green flag racing. However, if we would have had the shot of Cody's impact there, the caution would have come out immediately. But it was thrown immediately when he dropped his window net. We give him the opportunity to pull out, but if we would have had that first shot, we would have known that car wasn't pulling out. So that's on us. We're going to go back. We're going to review it. We're going to look at it, and if we go back to Chicago, we'll definitely have a different plan.
So there's Brad Moran, Cole, and you heard a little bit of that. Was that a sufficient apology from NASCAR?
Yeah, I mean, I respect the accountability and the transparency, you know. I feel like we haven't gotten a whole lot of that in the years we've had more controversy or questionable calls. So, I mean, it's fine for me. I gotta get that. Watching the race myself, I said on Sunday, actually, like, you know, they cut to that corner of him in the tire barrier. You don't know what the severity of that by just seeing the still car under the tires. So, to not have replay, obviously, is going to hamper getting to that crash sooner. So I'm okay with it. They meant well. They're trying to improve, and yeah, and that was sufficient for me, for sure.
Okay, so I remember on Sunday, if you watched us on Sunday night in real time, Crash and I completely agreed with NASCAR's side of things in that they handled it correctly in real time. Everything we know now, it's pretty clear that they were very, very slow to react. And I think it's pretty clear now, you know, one of our commenters brought this up too, which is like, it's Sean, shout out, said, you guys are the worst. It's not like they knew how bad it was and did not throw the yellow that they didn't see it. They will fix it. There's nothing they can do now. And that's true. They understood that they made a mistake. I will admit that I was wrong on Sunday. I took NASCAR word for it, but we know now that they know where they went wrong. Mm-hmm. And they were smart enough to not dive in deeper and say to themselves and say like, oh, we're okay. We made the right call. They've handled it 100% the correct way ever since. And I will give NASCAR plaudits for that. Mm-hmm. I think they've handled this really well since then. Yeah. And I think they understand now what they need to do to change things going forward, especially for a place like Sonoma.
There we go. Got it. Well, the one thing I will say is I think it's inexcusable to have a blind spot on the racetrack where safety should be top priority. So that needs to be fixed. And I think they're going to obviously work to fix that. But yeah, I think they handled the situation very well, like you said, much better than in the past. So let's move forward, and should be another good race here at Sonoma.
Yeah, and the thing about Dale Jr. was talking about on Download this week how Sonoma is slightly different from Chicago, because the way Chicago is of the street course, they're set up differently to where you can't really see a lot of it. So you were forced to focus on this, TV truck type setup. Whereas at Sonoma, you can see a lot more of what's going on. And also there is, there's only that one, coming around to the start finish line. That's a really tight corner with walls. Other than that, there's so much runoff there. You go into the grass a lot. So, you're not gonna run into the same problems that you did at a place like Chicago or something like a Leland Honeyman at the Roval last year that we talked about on Sunday. So thank you NASCAR for admitting your mistake and understanding that there will be changes coming in the future to this, with whether it be more cameras, whether it be a better setup with race control, etc., etc. Speaking of moving ahead, NASCAR is still working on finalizing their 2026 schedule. If you go to racer.com, Kelly Crandall had an article out this week where she was trying to unpack the schedule rumors for 2026. And it boils down to essentially the following, Cole, which is they're going to keep the same schedule, 36 races, obviously, plus the Clash, which was announced today is going back to Bowman Gray. The problem seems to be is that there is this new rumor that's been popping up about NASCAR wanting to do a street race in San Diego. So now you have essentially 3 races vying for 2 dates. And so you're looking at Chicago. If the city of Chicago wants to extend the contract, they have the option to do so. San Diego Street Course Race and Mexico City. And maybe the 4th being in there, Montreal, if they want to throw their hands in there as well. So those 4 are vying for 2 spots on the calendar. If you had to choose 2 of those 4, where would you go?
I mean, first off, it's going to be really hard for me to go against Chicago, just seeing what we have on track, I think, the last 3 years, and just experiencing the event myself. I think it's incredible. And I think the city has really grown to embrace it, and it's helped bring new viewers into the sport as well. Weather has been an issue, obviously, so I can understand moving away from it. And I think for me, I would love to have San Diego on the circuit.
Yeah.
That, like you mentioned, for me, that would be like a top tier event. Mm-hmm. It would be like NASCAR's version of the Long Beach Grand Prix, you know? So I think that would be an incredible experience, and it'd be a way to bring NASCAR back to the West Coast again and to the SoCal area, which is it should be a big point of emphasis to bring NASCAR out west and maintain that relationship, and just go to different regions. But I think it's also, like, you want to have Mexico there, obviously. Such a great turnout this year, a great race as well. But I know the logistics were a big deal for teams. So here's what I'll say. I'm going to lock in San Diego for sure as one of my races. Mm-hmm. Should NASCAR go away or Chicago go away from the 4th of July weekend, I think it'd be a mistake, because that little tradition they built up these last 3 years has grown on me. I think it's been a good tradition, and I'd love to see it carried out further. But if they want to move away from that race weekend, I'd go back to Mexico. Right. So it's kind of cheating there, giving you 3. I would prefer Chicago though over Mexico personally. Yeah. So 2 street courses instead of going back to Mexico.
Yeah. I'm gonna give myself an option C.
Oh, geez.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna answer my question, and I'm going to give myself an option C that I did not give you.
Okay.
Which is, I would take Chicago and San Diego as my 2. Mm-hmm. I as much as I would love them to go back to Mexico City, the logistical problems with that is really tough to overcome unless they want to give themselves an extra off week. Daniel Suarez may or may not be in the Cup Series next year. So I think going to Chicago and going to San Diego would be 2 bigger events for NASCAR than Mexico City is, I think. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunate to say. Now, I say that with the caveat that if it were up to me and I was the commissioner of NASCAR, if I was Steve Phelps, here's what I would do. I'm dumping some of these extra races at ovals with more than one race. I've said that for a long time on this show. I've said that there should not be multiple dates at any track. All these tracks should have 1 date max. And what that would do either is it would reduce your schedule from 36 races down, which would be great. I think this season is too long. I think going into football season is a mistake. NASCAR should not be running races in November. You should be running from February until September. Just like IndyCar is done by the time football starts.
I agree.
I think that would be the smartest decision NASCAR could ever make. Now, in addition to that, if they can't shorten the schedule and you're still at 36 races, my second option, so this would be option D now, is to keep the schedule length as it is, but take away races, take away a race from Bristol, take away a race from Martinsville, take away a race from Phoenix, and then go to some of these other places. Go to Road America is a very popular choice.
Bingo.
Keep the race in Mexico City. Go back to the Daytona road course. Go back to the Indianapolis road course. And make your schedule more and more diverse as possible. That's what I would do if I was commissioner of NASCAR. And I know the chat's angry right now because NASCAR fans love themselves some ovals, and I still don't understand why.
It's NASCAR. That's why. NASCAR is oval racing. What I will say is I think I agree with you 100%. It should be the Chicago street course and the San Diego street course, because if NASCAR wants to be more diverse in their track disciplines, it would be helpful to have 2 street courses in addition to all the road courses that they have right now. Also, shout out to Road America as well. I would love to see them bring that track back on the circuit. It's one of the best, period, across all forms of motorsport. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I co-sign.
That's the one I've seen bandied about most from NASCAR fans is to bring Road America back. And that experiment only lasted like 2 years, right?
I don't get why. It was 2 great races. That was the July 4th race there for a couple years, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that was just like, I don't know why they're not going back there. I think only thing I could think of is NASCAR loves themselves to go to their own tracks because it doesn't cost them any more money.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. Like, it's $50 million to put on a Chicago street race. NASCAR is a $1 billion company, right? I mean, I feel like they're rich as hell. They can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
They're fine.
Yep.
Teams can afford it. They have a multi-million-dollar contract, TV contract now. And so I don't understand why they're so worried about these fees for going to non-NASCAR tracks, which is crazy. I mean, they do. COTA was one of my favorite races this year so far. And again, that's not. They had to rent that facility from the owners of that track in conjunction with the owners of Texas Motor Speedway. So that's my solution. That is my solution for the 2026 schedule. You heard Cole's solution as well. And I don't know when we're going to get the schedule finalized. I'm assuming in the next month and a half or so. Usually, I feel like it comes out.
It's like August usually.
I feel like it usually comes out right before the start of the playoffs.
Pretty much.
Ish.
Yeah.
Is when we should expect a full schedule to come out. I do want to read from Kelly Crandall's article.
Shout out Racer, by the way.
Racer.com, yep. You can check us out on Racer Network. Hey, if you're watching us, you can check out our 25th anniversary special is going to air on Monday on Racer Network. So make sure to check that out. It's a great show. A lot of old school interviews that you probably have never seen before. So if you haven't checked it out on our YouTube channel and you are a subscriber to Racer Network, check it out. Noon Eastern and Pacific, Racer Network on Monday. So this is Kelly Crandall. Racer is unaware of any finalized deal in place for NASCAR to race in San Diego in 2026. The city has also said there is no documentation available related to any conversations or plans with NASCAR. However, that could simply be because the deal being worked on is being handled in a way to prevent it from leaking. Earlier this month, The Athletic reported NASCAR is working on finalizing such a deal. The most intriguing aspect of the San Diego idea is the location. A natural assumption is that it would be someplace downtown and in similar manner to Chicago. But talk of an interesting alternative started floating around the garage over the weekend, Coronado. It's the peninsula or island, depending on your view, that's connected to the mainland in San Diego, which also has a naval base on it. So I'm not too familiar with Coronado.
I've been there numerous times. Yeah. That's one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever been to.
Yeah.
It's incredible. That'd be amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so I'm not too familiar with that area and what a layout or a course would look like there, but intriguing idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Intriguing idea.
It'd be very scenic. I think the naval base part would look really cool, too. It'd be kind of like Days of Thunder meets Top Gun. Very cinematic. Beachfront, too. Mm-hmm. That's my number one now. Screw San Diego. Go a little bit south to Coronado.
There you go. All right. So Coronado is a possibility for 2026. Okay. There's that. What else we got on the docket here? Oh, how about this idea, Freak Nation? We were talking about this before the show, and I want to toss this out there as we were talking about road courses being the main topic of conversation here, which is, how about this idea? Cody kind of brought this up before the show, and I kind of tweaked it to come up with my own idea, which is, how about NASCAR instead of doing the in-season tournament, okay, which is been a complete failure, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I don't know if do you agree? It's been a failure.
I have zero interest. Yeah. I lost interest after whatever that was, 20 laps to Atlanta.
Atlanta, exactly. So how about this? There are currently 6 road and street courses on the schedule. That's a 6-year schedule. Shane Van Gisbergen has been, he's not dominating because he didn't win COTA by any means, but
still,
yeah, he won the Chicago Street Course, and he won in Mexico City. And how about this? How about NASCAR do a road course championship in addition to like your regular season championship and your overall Cup Series championship? And so instead of doing $1 million for the winner of the in-season tournament, it's basically an in-season tournament just for the road courses. And you award $1 million to the driver that scores the most points at all 6 of those road and street courses. I think that's a cool idea.
I think it's a cool idea, too, actually. Mm-hmm. I would like to see it maybe expanded, as Cody was saying off the air as well, to like all different disciplines. So short tracks, 1.5 miles, speedways. That'd be really cool to award maybe some bonus points in the playoffs, or even, like I said, $1 million to each one. That'd be make it interesting for sure. And it's definitely different. And it also, like we were saying off the airwaves again, it's if they want to go towards more of the stick and ball rules and logic and ideologies, that'd be a cool thing to have conferences, I guess, in a way, with these different disciplines and awarding them for being successful in them.
I have a feeling that's going to happen in the future, but I think so. Did y'all see the videos of the EV cars?
I did.
right? Mm-hmm. Like that's the future. I don't know if they're going to do an East and West Coast thing similar. We were talking about like Supercross 250s. 250 Supercross has an East and West championship. But I have a feeling they're going to do something similar with that to these EV cars in the future, which I thought were sick. I'm sorry. I think those things are cool as hell. I thought it was awesome watching those things go around the Chicago layout like that. They sound so much different. But I as somebody who like dabbles in Formula E, and I think that series is really cool, and the racing is actually pretty great in Formula E, I would love to see an EV series in NASCAR. I think that would be sick.
I think it's cool to like test the technologies, and it's been like interesting to see it all develop and how successful it's been. But I'm very anti EV. I'm all gas, no brake, American muscle baby. So that I don't think that would have any attraction to anybody here in terms of viewership. So I'm not for that. Again, I respect the innovations and the testing and all of the technologies, but it's not for me. Not for Cole.
I think a lot of regular NASCAR fans are in, because I saw so many comments from, I think it was Bob Pockris who put out some of those videos over the weekend, and everybody was like, "This is crap."
Yeah, it's gonna have no legs to it.
I was like, "Come on, man, get with the program. Take yourself out of It's not the 1980s anymore, NASCAR fans. It's not.
Maybe do it international. I don't know.
It's not 2004 anymore. Okay, it's not. We got to move into the 21st century. Speaking of Formula E, there were rumors that they were going to add a race here in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of bummed that for at least the next season, 2025, it's not on the calendar. So maybe in the future we'll get Formula E here in Phoenix, which would be awesome.
They were saying street course too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That'd be very cool, actually. I would go to that.
This year they did a race at Homestead, Miami. They're changing that for next year, and they're going to do it at the Formula One layout around the Dolphin Stadium. They also have a race in Portland, which is really popular as well. They do the road course there in Portland. So please, Formula E, come back to Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Come back to Phoenix, but Formula One was here. And did y'all know that Phoenix was a Formula One site in the early 90s?
I did not know that.
Yes, look it up.
Oh yeah, it was the streets too, right? Yeah, I have heard about that actually.
In the high-rise buildings for the stands.
It was downtown Phoenix, bro. It's crazy.
That's
Go
cool.
back and watch some of the videos. It's insane because they were doing this race before the Suns built the Suns Arena, so they're racing, basically racing down Jefferson, and it's like. It looks nothing like downtown Phoenix now. It's crazy.
So cool.
It was wild. So the fact that like Ayrton Senna raced and won a race here in the streets of downtown Phoenix is crazy to me. I think that's so cool.
That is really badass. I didn't know he won here.
No idea.
Wow.
Ayrton Senna won here.
That is so badass.
Blows my mind. What?
Good Phoenix lore.
Yeah, that is crazy lore.
One of the only good Phoenix sports stories I think in the history of the 48 state.
Watch it.
Pretty much, right?
Ain't that the truth? All right, a couple of quick hitters before we get out of here, because we're going to do a little bit shorter show today. We're not going the full hour. I know you guys want us to, because you can't get enough of Cole Money, Cusimano, and myself, but that's okay. We're going to do a little bit shorter show. So we do have rapid fire here coming up. So I'm wearing my Ferrari hat today. Big news dropped this morning in Formula One. Shocking news in Formula One, really, which is that the original team principal and CEO of Red Bull Racing, Christian Horner, got fired on Wednesday morning after 20 years with the team. He was one of the founding members of this team, and he got sacked in a very, very shocking and surprising move this morning. This is so fascinating to me. I could go on for hours about this because of the machinations going on here. We mentioned a little bit, I think it was last week, maybe it was the week before, when we were talking about the future of Max Verstappen, and I kind of brought up the fact that there's some internal strife going on really ever since the beginning of last season, and this is kind of that thread that's led to that. So I think that the interesting part about this to me is what this particular move means for the future of Max Verstappen at Red Bull. Because according to reports, Jos Verstappen, Max's dad, was not a Christian Horner fan. And there was like a big time rift between the Christian Horner side of things and the kind of Diedrich Mateschitz, the founder of Red Bull wing, and that wing was comprised of Dietrich Mateschitz, of Jos Verstappen, Max Verstappen, and that kind of side of things. And over the last year, there have been so many players that have left Red Bull, right? I think they're obviously Adrian Newey has left, right? Jonathan Wheatley left. A couple others have left. And so Red Bull's a mess right now. And then you lose the guy who has been the head of the table for 20 years. This team's an absolute disaster. And Cole, this is what makes me think that I said last week that I thought the Max rumors to Mercedes were kind of crap in a way. I didn't really see it happening. I thought that was mostly coming from the Mercedes side as wish casting to try and kind of throw the lure out there to see if they can stir the pot. But after this, I truly believe that Max, even though Max was not a Christian Horner fan, Jos was not a Christian Horner fan, I think this is like a desperate attempt at Red Bull to keep Max Verstappen, as opposed to a sign that Max is going to stay. I really do think that, because I think Red Bull they're on the downhill right now, man. They are. They have a new partnership with Ford next year for the powertrains. It's a brand new year of regulations. Red Bull has been terrible this year. Max has an out in his clause, or an out in his contract in relation to where he is in the standings. And so I truly believe I truly believe it is closer than ever to happening that Max is going to leave Red Bull at the end of this year. So this is so fascinating to me, man. This is why I love Formula One. It's just drama 24/7. You can't get away from it. So as somebody who is not as attached to Formula One as I am, you certainly did my best to describe what was going on. And if you were in Max Verstappen's shoes, is this your opportunity to leave now? Would you go to Mercedes, or would you stick around to Red Bull?
Let me ask you this. I'm not too familiar with the politics of F1, but what's his contract like with Red Bull?
He is signed through 2028.
Okay.
He's signed through 2028, and there is allegedly some opt-out clauses depending on performance.
Okay.
And from what I understand, it is he has to be third or better. If he's outside the top three in the driver standings at the end of this month, he has an opt-out. And it's the same, I think, and it triggers next year as well.
So I don't think it was a desperate attempt to prevent Max from moving over to Mercedes. I think this was basically a statement from the team. You have the third best driver in the world in Max Verstappen, behind Palou and Larson, obviously. I had to throw that in there. You have the third best driver in the world here. He's not winning. He's not getting any results. And this was basically them saying, okay, we got to make a full wholesale change here. We want to invest in him and make sure that he stays with us going forward through 2028 and beyond. So I think it's more so them putting more of an investment into the team and into Max to be sure that they can succeed. But again, I don't follow F1 too closely. I don't know Max's logic and how he operates and his mentality. So he could be a guy that's like, F this, I want out.
Yeah.
Or he could be like somebody who's like, okay, I want to stick to my obligation and see it through. So I don't know. But I think it was more of like a statement like, we're going to invest all of our time and money into making sure that Max Verstappen is winning in F1 again. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, there's going to be more and more that's going to come from this over the next couple weeks while Formula One is off on their little break here before they come back here in a couple weeks. So I was shocked. Okay, I couldn't sleep I couldn't fall asleep. So I was awake at 3 o'clock in the morning when this dropped. And I looked at my phone and I was like, this is fake, right? This is Formula Fakers. Formula Fakers put this out, right? Like, no, because minutes later, it's like Red Bull puts out a statement. It's like,
oh,
whoa. Big deal in Formula One. I hadn't touched on that, Cole. So thank you for giving me the time to yap about that.
Of course.
I could do a full hour on it, honestly, but we're gonna move on. Okay, what else do we got here? Let's see. Where's my little thing? Here we go. Okay, I mentioned it earlier. Clash back at Bowman Gray. Do you care?
Not really. Not at all. The Clash has run its course, and unless they bring it back to Daytona and do a Speed Weeks again, I have zero interest. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still appreciate NASCAR going back to its roots in Bowman Gray, and I thought the turnout and the aesthetic of it all looked great this year. But the event itself just does not do it for me anymore. Just like the All-Star race, has nothing of interest to me at all.
Yeah, I tend to agree. We talked about it at the beginning of this year when there was rumors about it moving and changing, and because the race at Bowman Gray itself was
Not
forgettable. It was
Not good.
completely forgettable, despite the fact that they like sold the place out and people seem to be really excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
I can take it or leave it. I wish they'd go somewhere else with it, personally. But again, shout out to NASCAR. Hope you have fun at Bowman Gray next year. Okay, one more thing to touch on, I think, before we get out of here. Quickly, 2311 and Front Row Motorsports. They appealed the decision from a previous lower court to try and go to a full appeals panel to keep their injunction in place so that way they could still race as chartered teams. The appeals panel did not agree to move that forward to the full panel of this appeals court. And so the decision is going to stay in place, and they have removed the injunction. So according to everything I'm seeing, it is very, very possible and very, very likely that 2311 and Front Row Motorsports will be racing as non-chartered teams for the rest of the season. I know, Cole, you're not super into the machinations of the Law and Order NASCAR.
Yeah. that was a good analogy.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you the same question I said about Bowman Gray. Do you care?
I mean, not really. I guess it matters more now that they're going to be an open team, basically, but still, it's just back and forth bullshit, and it's just like they're delaying the inevitable. NASCAR is going to win this. Just stop. Just put an end to it. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't care. I do not care at all, one bit. Riley Herbst might miss a race. Big whoop. It's not going to affect Bubba Wallace. It's not going to affect Tyler Reddick. I'm just over it. I'm done.
Again, we've talked about it before. Like, I find this stuff so damn fascinating because it could really completely change NASCAR as we know it moving forward, depending on the outcome of the case. And so that's why I've been so intrigued by this. But again, when you're dealing with Michael Jordan, who is one of the biggest names in the history of sports, and he as of right now could lose millions of dollars because of this. That's a big, big deal.
It is. It's just not that fascinating to me. And I know it's to a lot of people, but
I think most fans too are in your camp, which is this is just billionaires fighting over millions of dollars of money. It doesn't change my racing at all. Even though like you follow Pockrass and Gluck and all the like, and they're just you look at their timelines on these decision days, and it's just people like, please explain to me what the hell is going on.
Exactly.
I just want to know what's going on.
It's done. It's a tired topic in my opinion.
At least
until something actually happens that's like huge, like MJ walks away or whatever, or one of those cars doesn't make the race, then it's not a big deal to me.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. There's your 90 seconds into the courtroom, everybody. we should have showed up wearing like robes,
wearing gavel,
and the wigs and the gavel. Anytime we bring up this NASCAR courtroom drama,
I like that actually.
Oh, that's too funny. Cole, we got the money stop coming up this week. What do you got going on for Watkins Glen this weekend?
Well, we're Watkins Glen. Well,
Sonoma. I can't. That's a callback to earlier in the show.
You cannot spell wine country without win, and you cannot win without listening to the money stop, because once again, it was just an absolute clinic by us at Chicago. Both mine and Steven's winner picks for this race were SVG and Ty Gibbs. Both went 1-2. We highlighted 4 of the top 5 finishers, 6 of the top 10 finishers, and 7 if you include Steven's sleeper pick of Ryan Preece. So it's just been an unbelievable season. The advice that we're giving out, the research that I'm putting in personally to bring you these 12 drivers and the props that are most profitable in the field has been really fun to work with. So we got another great show in tap for not Watkins Glen, Sonoma.
I can't believe I did that earlier in the show. I'm the one that's like, give me more road courses, and I could not remember the name of the damn road course they're racing at this weekend. Dear Lord. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us here on this Horsepower Hump Day. We're going to wrap it up a little bit earlier than we normally do. A couple things to note. Coming up on Sunday, Cole is going to be gone. He's not going to be here. Kenny's not going to be here. Crash is not going to be here. I'm going to be here in town, but we're not going to be doing a show, so we're going to have a special presentation coming up on Sunday night on the YouTube channel, so stay tuned for that. What we're going to do is we're going to do like a mid-season award show for everybody. You know, at the end of the year, we like to do our Freaky Awards, so I think Cole and I, on Sunday night, Cole's going to Cole's gonna have to like travel through time to get here, but
Yeah.
we're gonna make it work. So Cole and I are gonna hand out our mid-season Freaky Awards. So we're gonna do Race of the Year, we're gonna do Driver of the Year, and we're also gonna do Freak of the Year, but like maybe like Race of the Mid-Year. Maybe we'll do it that way. I don't know. Anyway, so we're gonna do that on Sunday night for you guys. So hopefully you check us out 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. Check us out for a special presentation of Speed Freaks here on the YouTube channel. And then on Monday afternoon at noon Eastern and Pacific, you can check us out on Racer Network. That is going to be our 25th anniversary show. If you missed that on our YouTube channel, you can check it out on Racer Network. A lot of great interviews. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, Big Daddy Don Garlitz, amongst many, Kyle Busch, amongst many others. It's a great show. Statman came back with us as well. So check us out on Racer Network, noon Eastern and Pacific. Cole, do you have anything else before we go?
I am just so pumped up for Watkins Glen this weekend, man. It's going to be a great race. That's about it. And drink a lot of Mountain Dew, obviously, you know? Got to throw that in there. But actually, I am pumped for Sonoma. Should be a good one. I don't think SVG is going to be as dominant as he was at Chicago and Mexico, but I think he's going to be still a favorite.
This will be his first Cup Series start in Sonoma, right?
Yeah, it will be, actually.
That's what I thought. Did he win Sonoma at Xfinity last year?
He did. Yep, started from the pole and won.
That's what yes, because he had that run last year where he did like Chicago, Portland, and Sonoma, and he won all three of them.
Yeah.
In like pretty damn quick succession in the Xfinity Series last year. So yeah, congratulations to Shane Van Gisbergen on winning Sonoma this weekend.
Oh wait, before we go,
Yes.
shout out to Catherine Legg. We forgot to mention it on the last Sunday show.
Yes.
Top 20 finish at Chicago, and she also had a pretty. I thought it was a hard wreck, but she was able to wreck and then finish top 20. So shout out.
Yes, thank you so much for mentioning that. Shout out Catherine Legg, one of our freaks faves here. She joined Kenny back from Mexico City. Check that up on our YouTube page. All right, for now, for Cole Money Cusimano, for Cody Big Johnson, the voice of God, I'm Richie Suave Flores. Thank you so much for watching us here on Horsepower Hump Day. We'll see you again on Sunday night for a very special presentation of the program. Until then, good night and good racing, everybody. Later.